Hello, welcome to the Dead Air Dudes. I'm Izzy.
I'm Raka. Hello, Ditter Dudes Nation.
Hello, Dead Air Dudes Nation, and today we have the story of the Zodiac Killer.
One of the big hitters in the true crime serial killer world, if not top dog for many reasons, mostly of which he's never been captured.
Yeah, he's still at large.
And his other signature.
So, all right, taking it from the top. Welcome one and all. Please like and subscribe to this video. Hit the bell, all that good stuff. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, what we can do better, and keep enjoying the content we have going on. And also listen to our podcast, The Dead Air Dudes, on every platform imaginable. So that being said, take it away, Rocco.
Well, and also a special thanks to those that have been solid foundation listeners.
Definitely.
You know who I'm talking about over there in France. You know what I'm talking about in Germany, in Russia, in many Latin American countries, in Canada, and in our own backyard, New York, and all of America. So, to get right to it, a serial killer who stalked and preyed Northern California from 1968, 1969, in the 70s, caused terror throughout that region and most of America during that time.
Right.
Now, what distinguished this serial killer from others is that the victims were not raped, not tortured, not robbed. They were straight up hunted
Yep.
and killed.
Yep.
In addition, if that wasn't enough, this individual had such cojones that he taunted police, detectives, FBI, family members by sending letters to the police department and one to the family member of deceased, informing them that they deserve to die. You're never going to catch me. And if that weren't enough injury to insult, I'm going to show you this encrypted document. My name's there. Who I am is there. What I'm going to do next is there. And above all that, there's not a damn thing you can do to stop me.
Yeah. Technically, there's five confirmed victims, but there were also, it could have been 7, 2 were injured but survived, possibly 20 to 28. But according to the Zodiac Killer, he claims there's a confirmed 37 murders, which obviously we don't know. I mean, there's been lots of rumors and innuendo and many stories, movies, books have been written about this guy, and we still don't know. All we do know, the victims that were from Benicia, Vallejo, Napa County, and San Francisco, respectively, within the time frame of 68 and October of 1969. That's definitely what we know. And we know exactly how it happened, to the point where there's even reports and that it happened this way with this gun. Very, very specific, things. And within the first letter, he also confirmed and he claimed the murders in Lake Herman and Blue Rock. So, but yeah. So I guess we take it from
the first murder, I guess.
From the beginning,
And again, this is the suspected beginning, because as more evidence unfolded, there was at the same time, again, as crazy as the late 60s and 70s were, there were multiple serial killers running around the world.
Yep.
And a lot on both coasts. And there was a hillside strangler or hillside
strangler, yes.
and at the same time. So there were murders that occurred at the same time in the same region, maybe a few hundred miles away, and it became increasingly difficult to distinguish one from the other. Say when was the first murder or when was the second, and we'll get to that later on. But we'll take you first to December 20, 1968, on Lake Herman Road, within the limits of Benicia, California, where two teenagers,
Mm-hmm.
David Arthur Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen. Again, we aim no disrespect for naming the names of victims, and for those also that, because I believe it's essential to this case, but also those that are listening, you understand that this can get very graphic and subject matter is very serious. So,
there's the warning. Just you know, we know that obviously if you listen to this, there's something that you want to listen to and are ready for. But if not,
So we have two teenagers who, okay, they're young, boy and a girl in a car. We know what's up. They're by a lake.
yeah,
Everybody was young
on
once.
their
We all
first
know what's
date,
going on.
thank you to
But
the Christmas concert. So
right, and by all accounts, two good kids doing nothing.
yeah,
And they were systematically shot and killed in their cars, quasi execution style. Right, there wasn't much foul play. There wasn't resisting. There wasn't a fight. There wasn't a ruckus. You just shot and straight up executed.
yeah, Rock. Let me ask you, what about Robert Graysmith? Robert Graysmith is the true crime author and a former cartoonist who was basically obsessed with the case, with the Zodiac case, and he spent 13 years, you know, covering the case and doing everything. Well, matter of fact, the movie Zodiac, he actually wrote 6 books. I think 6 books. One in particular was called Zodiac, which is the premise and the basis of the movie, the 2007 movie, and he's played by Jake Gyllenhaal. Now, he, using forensic data, this is, again, this is what, this guy thought, or, he figured out with the forensic data, and so he postulated at that moment after, this just basically for the Lake Herman Road murders, that other car pulled out just prior to 11 p.m. and parked beside the couple. Now, this is, I guess he's assuming that it was the killer. He exited the car and walked towards the Rambler, which is the car that they were in, possibly ordering the couple out to get out of the car. Now, Jensen appeared to have exited the car first, and when Faraday was halfway out, the killer apparently shot him in the head. Then the killer shot Jensen 5 times in the back. She fled, and her body was found 28 feet from the car. Then he drove off. Now, using, now I know that was very specific or, descriptive, but it's fascinating to know that how this guy figured this out using forensic data and how obsessed he was with the Zodiac Killer.
So, if we can extrapolate a couple things from that scene.
Right.
So, not shot in the car, shot in the back.
Almost like you said, I hate to say, again, we're not trying to, but hunted. Not trying to make.
Yeah, and he did allude that in his letters. We're pretty much prey. So, besides the fact that I'm not in one of the victims' crime scenes, the only tangible evidence, or one of few that has been recovered, is a footprint. And the footprint was sent through all their databases. And again, this is 1968 people, so they're trying their best to do everything through paper and everything. But it was
no CSI back then, at least
it
not.
and this was all old school matching. But they came up with a positive ID of basically a boot that is only military issue. So that was one of the leads that detectives started to profile the Zodiac Killer. Is this is a military issued boot. Now, unless he got it at an Army Navy store, he got it from somebody who's a vet. One had to assume this most likely was ex-military individual.
Okay. I mean, I guess you can. Yeah. I mean, look.
It would reinforce the stalking type, of MO here, that it's a trained
Right.
killer. So this blueprint was also discovered in another crime scene match. So the killer has a military issue boot, which means if you go by that premise, he has a disciplined, objective-driven mission that he executes. And I'm sorry for the puns, but he executes with precision here, deadly precision.
What I found fascinating is that after the first letter, which we'll get into, I don't mean to jump across, but the psychiatrist mentioned that I guess in the profile of what they assumed the letter, who wrote the letter, that it would be someone who you would expect to be brooding and isolated. Again, that could mean anything or it can be anyone, but it stands to reason that, it could be, like you said, we'll go with the military type shoes. I don't know. It could be someone that, is.
Well, there's a lot, actually. There's a lot to extrapolate from this first crime scene. He went after a couple.
Yeah. Well, he went after what? Three? I think it was three. This couple. Then it was another couple, right? And I think it was three couples he went after, I think.
Yeah, and what does that tell you? He's got no fear that is not one-on-one, and he's not after a frail individual. He's not after a physically smaller individual that he can overpower and manhandle. Two people.
Yeah,
which is a guy.
One couple he attacked
girl.
with a knife.
Yeah.
It wasn't even shot, it was hand to hand. So therefore, and he took two people on.
Yeah. So what also distinguishes this individual is the people of the prey. There doesn't seem to be an MO description like, oh, it's only blonde women. It's only couples of this nature. I mean, we still don't know exactly how he picked these victims, but
I mean, it seems that
he was pretty brash. Yeah. But even a younger person.
Couples, but I just think that's just a mere coincidence. I don't think
it's still two.
Yeah.
If one gets away and you can't, you're tackling on two prey at the same time.
And it's not like you're taking on older folks in their 60s and 70s. You're talking 17, 16, 19, 22, 20, 22, 29. Young people, who are young and strong,
So David Faraday was halfway out of the car, was shot in the head. So you figure Jensen now panics, freaks out, is in total shock. She wants to get away. She gets away. 28 feet. Here's the other thing. 28 feet away, shot in the back. He's a good shot. It's a moving target. This is 11 p.m. at night.
And were there any gun shell casings found or anything?
Not that I've recovered. And again, the unfortunate thing too is a lot of forensic data has been held close to the vest.
Well, the police department. You could also say that, again, not to make light of it, but maybe to a degree, letting the victim go, and then just, okay, you're not going anywhere, and then just, you know what I mean? Toying.
A little sadistic.
Yeah, toying with the individual as opposed to just,
Yeah, so we profile this person. Okay, so that's crime scene 1. Crime scene 2, Blue Rock Springs murder. And this is July 4th, Independence Day.
July 4th.
1969, a very turbulent year in this country. Darlene Ferrin and Miguel Magu, they're in Blue Rock Springs in Vallejo, 4 miles from Lake Herman Road. Not far at all.
Nope.
Same thing.
Same
Couple in the
thing.
car.
Another car pulled up right next to them. Returning about 10 minutes later, a second car parked behind them. Exit the vehicle, approaching the passenger side door, carrying a flashlight and a 9mm Luger.
So here's your answer to the.
There you go. Yep. Killer directed the flashlight into Mago and Fern's eyes before shooting at them, firing 5 times. The victims were hit. Several bullets had passed through Mago and into Ferrin.
Oh, God.
The killer walked away from the car, but upon hearing Mago's moaning, returned and shot each victim twice before driving off. So, sadistic motherfucker. Okay? The goal was to kill them. It was not, like you mentioned before, not to rob them, not to rape them. It was merely...
Not torture. It was straight up execution.
Exactly.
And again...
And he was not, it wasn't fear of, oh, gotta get done, I'm leaving. No. After he heard, calm, collected, heard them still alive, go back to finish the job.
And that's why he is very fearsome by all standards. Wasn't somebody sick in the head in the sense of a voice was telling him to do it. Satanic cult was telling him to do it. He was on drugs. He was, well, these things we don't know, whether he had some abuse or trauma in his past, but his manner at which he does these crimes, it's quick, it's fast, it's done, it's not messy.
And here comes, after this, comes the first phone call. And someone actually claiming credit for the murders. Because not Mago, he survived, actually. After being shot in the face, neck, survived. Face, neck, and chest. And he managed to describe, which I guess we have the first description of the Zodiac Killer. 26 to 30-year-old, 195 to 200, or even more, 5'8", white male with short, light brown, curly hair. You guys could probably, look up the. We'll probably have it up on after we edit it, and yeah. So at that time, also the caller took credit for the murders of Jensen and Faraday. 6.5 months later, earlier, which is, so already we have the beginnings of this character, basically taunting and, starting to, be more bold, more brazen.
So according to the police dispatcher, the caller spoke in a low, monotonous tone, saying, "I want to report a murder. If you will go 1 mile east on Columbus Parkway, you will find kids in a brown car. They were shot with a 9mm Ruger.
Sheesh.
I also killed those kids last year. Goodbye."
There you go.
Yeah, and you're right. So that, Darlene, TOA, and then, so the brazen individual who is the Zodiac Killer is giving you a confession. It's exactly pinpointing where the murder was taking place.
I'm saying, like, assholes. By the way, I committed this now, so
good luck.
Yeah, exactly.
And
this leads to the first letter or letters of the Zodiac. On August 1st, 1969, 3 letters prepared by the Zodiac were received at the Vallejo Times-Herald, the San Francisco Chronicle, and the San Francisco Examiner. Nearly identical letters and they took credit for, like I said, the Lake Herman Road and Blue Rock Springs murders. Each letter included a 1/3 of a 408 symbol cryptogram, which he claimed contained his identity.
408, cipher 408. So what's interesting is forensic research and forensic crime work has evolved a lot to the point that they can extrapolate some DNA to lick postage, they can take and refragment fingerprints even from a partial, and they have constructed fingerprints from such letters in recent times, and some DNA sequences, not a lot, but still running through the fingerprints through the database. And we'll get to this later, I know I'm jumping ahead, but all the suspects that they could match upon didn't match.
No.
So they've got a number of circumstantial evidence, but again, clean, in, execute, leave, clean, except for the one footprint, the boot print in the mud. No hairs, no fibers, but going along with the taunting, some survivors who sketch out some dimensions. So now we skip forward to.
Now the actual cipher was cracked, and
cipher was cracked recently.
So some of the stuff he said. I like killing people because there's so much fun. It's more fun than killing wild game in the forest, because man is the most dangerous animal of all to kill. Something gives me the most thrilling experience. It is even better than getting your rocks off with a girl. The best part of it is that, when I die, I will be reborn in paradise, and that I have killed will become my slaves. I will not give you my name because you would try to slow down or stop my collecting of slaves for my afterlife. Nondescript. Now, there's many spelling errors within the cipher, and when you read it, you can, I tried to, read it exactly how it was written, and it's almost illegible. Like the last afterlife, it's
So, because you brought up the misspelling, I would now bring up a Riverside murder in October 30th of 1966. So 2 years prior to the alluded to first murder of the Zodiac Killer. 18-year-old Sherry Jo Bates, student of Riverside Community College.
Okay.
It was close to 9 o'clock at night, and neighbors nearby heard screams around 10:30. Bates was found the next morning dead, a short distance from the library where she worked, in between two abandoned houses, slated for demolition. The wires in her Volkswagen distributor cab had been pulled. She was brutally beaten and stabbed to death.
Sounds like a freaking horror movie, sounds like.
Now, where this ties in is that a month earlier, the Riverside Police and Riverside Press received a typewritten letter mailed to them titled The Confession. Mind you, this is 2 years prior.
It doesn't fit his MO, though.
It doesn't fit his, except for one thing. One thing that was discovered, which it got to make you pause. And what was discovered was the word Twitch was misspelled exactly as it was misspelled in the Zodiac's letter.
Which one? Which word? Say it again.
Twitch. TWITCH. In both letters, the second T is omitted. Now, the database of today's forensic society says that a misspelled letter using a low frequency word in two different letters, 3 years apart, is 1 out of 1.5 million probability. A little bit of a smoking gun here.
Yeah, that's shit.
Mind you, the individual who was questioned worked at the library. Individual named Ross Sullivan. He worked in the library. He fit the MO as far as the build. He was quiet, weirded people out. He was a former military personnel. He wore the same clothes to work, which consisted of, I think, khakis, a ruffled shirt, and military boots.
Yeah, he was suspected after he went missing for several days after the murder. Wow, he resembled sketches of the Zodiac and wore military-style boots with footprints like those found at Lake Berryessa crime scene.
So everything's circumstantial, but what are the odds that me and someone I've never met send a letter and misspell the exact same word the exact same way?
Now, look, this is something that I'm sure many people have speculated or whatever, and haven't, fully, investigated or whatever. What if there was more than one Zodiac?
And that's the other part of it. They attribute 5 murders, right? And there's letters, but the letters claims 37. What if Sherry Joe Bates was one of that 37? What if he's been practicing? What if the prior ones were mistakes, but spread all over California, Southern California?
And you got better.
Not to mention, and I'm not accusing Ross Sullivan, but Ross Sullivan lived and worked in that area. Do you know where he moved to 2 years later?
Do tell.
Just a few miles south of the site of the first killing of Lake Herman. Circumstantial? Quinkydinky? I mean, just a few miles, like 6 miles from where Lake Herman Road murder took place.
And you can't even say copycat because it happened before.
Exactly. Now the only difference is she was beaten.
Yeah, which
But
like I said,
no gun was used.
MO.
No gun was here. This was a savagery.
But it also would it debunk that theory, the fact that he was hospitalized many times for schizophrenia and bipolar disorder?
Could be debunked, but it could also be a contributing factor. He could have designed a whole mindset that whatever freaked him out, then he morphed into this escape character and found release in letters and all. Oh, here's the other thing. I'm sorry, leave this one out. This was a big jewel. What do you think his research paper in college was?
I don't know. What was it?
He submitted a research paper in cryptology. The letters.
Wow. All
So
right.
in uncovering that, I was actually stunned. Like, whoa.
That's,
There is a lot of overlap here.
and that's only one of at least
One of many suspects. But again, the
4 other, murders that also can be attributed that we know of. This it's just all right.
Now here's the kicker. We've already jumped into the letters. They've been deciphered by teams. This is what, 40 years later? Teams of now computer programmers that have multiple software that now look at angles. And apparently, the letters that are deciphered, right? So let's say it's A, B, X, box, wavy line, fire, or whatever. It's apparently in some kind of diagonal form, which in the past everybody was trying to decipher things
read
in
it.
a standard English, right to left. This could be that. So it was, and some words overlap into the next. I mean, quite intricate for the time.
Yeah, they're quite expensive, quite intricate. And it has to be someone who was a master in cryptology. Cryptology, as I say it, cryptology.
Bingo. Now, but all of it points to somebody who is far beyond a satanic cult, crazed killer who has a bloodlust and maybe some kind of sexual lust or some kind of other lust. All this was up here on another level, and in here on another level of, I don't panic. I know what I'm going to do. I know what plan A, B, and C is. I'm in, I'm out, I'm done. I call, I write letter. I mean, you basically, there's sketches of him, there's eyewitness accounts, there's, still thumb my nose at you. Crazy stuff. And sending a letter.
And obviously
to the newspaper, and you're going to get publicity.
Yeah, and he also threatened the newspapers, saying that if he was not on the front page of the paper, that he would go out. Wait, let me quote him. That he would cruise around all weekend, killing lone people in the night, then move on to kill again until I end up with 12 people over the weekend. End quote.
Now,
that did not happen.
And do you happen to have the other letter? We can get to that in a bit, but I would have to suspect from myself.
The other victims, or?
Well, first I would say that the majority of the letters is to thumb my nose at authority and police and everybody else. I'm smarter than you. I'm better than you. I'm whatever. Right, a big F you. But what do you think? I suspect there's some in there that's misdirection to have you chasing your tail.
I mean, look, we've all seen thousands of movies and stories and read books or whatever that, I mean, if this guy is that intelligent that he would, in the 60s, and, not to demean the era, you could come up with an intricate type of, cryptology. Yeah, why wouldn't you put some misdirection there? I know that there is some, underlying inkling or underlying thought that they almost kind of do things to have themselves get caught in a way, but you would go through all this trouble and to have them, run around and chase after you. Yeah, you would definitely toss some,
Because you're playing with them. You're playing. I mean, wow. I mean, and now you're talking about holding the city, San Francisco, and you're holding the city and the state of California in total fear. You don't do this, I'm going to do that. And you have no choice but you have to cripple to his demands, or else more people would die because you cannot catch him. You cannot stop him.
He was getting so bold and brazen at the Lake Berryessa murder, which it was, I'm sorry.
Yes. We're now in September 27, 1969.
Geez, he, after the murder, it was Hartnell. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were picnicking at Lake Berryessa on a small island connected by sand split to Twin Oak Ridge. White man, about 5'11", and again, between 5'8" to 6 feet tall, weighing more than 170 to 200 pounds, sizable individual.
Yeah. Comb
greasy hair, approached them wearing a black executioner type hood, and hence one of the sketches that comes out, an infamous sketch of a executioner hood with clip-on sunglasses. Crossed over the eye holes in a bib-like device on his chest that had a white 3 by 3 inch cross circle symbol, please, which will be synonymous with the Zodiac Killer in time. He approached him with a gun. Hartnell believed it to be a .45. The hooded man claimed to be an escaped convict from a jail with a two-word name in either Colorado or Montana. Police officer later inferred that he was referring to a jail in Deer Lodge, Montana, where he had killed the guard.
Killed the guard and stole the car, explained how near the car, and the money to go to Mexico.
The vehicle's driving was too hot. He had brought a pre-cut length of plastic clothesline, told Shepard to tie up Hartnell before he tied her up. The killer checked and tightened Hartnell's bonds after discovering Shepard had bound Hartnell's hands loosely. So he inspected to make sure. Hartnell initially believed this event to be a bizarre robbery, but the man drew a knife, stabbed them both repeatedly. Hartnell suffering 6 and Shepard suffering 10 stab wounds. Killer then hiked 500 yards
Now,
back.
this is what I was bringing up.
Yards back.
This is what
To Knoxville Road,
Mhm.
drew a cross circle symbol on Hartnell's car door with a black felt tip pen and wrote beneath it, Vallejo 12/20/68, 7/4/69, September 27/69, 6:30 / by knife.
exactly. Now, this was the whole thing I was bringing up, that the fact that this guy, if it is him, he thought about not only killing them, but also leaving his calling card.
He had to complete the taunt.
Exactly.
It wouldn't be anything without leaving the taunt. And again, here comes a phone call to
Mhm.
the Napa County Sheriff's Office. Caller said, I want to report a murder. No, a double murder. Before stating he had been at the perpetrator of the crime. Then he got off the phone minutes later at a Napa car wash on Main Street. Reporter Pat Stanley, only a few blocks from the crime scene. Wow, detectives were able to lift a still wet palm print from the telephone, but were never able to match it to any suspect. Again,
It's the 60s, guys. So yeah,
no cameras.
Nope. Dude, it's like a movie. They reached there. The cord is still dangling. Everything is, and they just missed.
I mean, he's 2 steps ahead.
Yeah.
At every turn. He is smarter. He is taunting. He's playing with them. So unfortunately, Shepard lapsed into a coma before being transported to a hospital. Never gained consciousness. And Hartnell survived and recounted his tale to the press.
So that's the other survivor. Not
So
perfectly, obviously, he damn tried after 7, 8 times.
and that was September 27 of 69, and then in October 11 of 69.
2 weeks later,
is
a white male passenger
2 weeks
entered
later.
in the cab, driven by. This is the soul of victim. Everyone else, they all were couples.
But this is important for many reasons, and we'll get to it. So this is 2 weeks later. A male passenger entered a cab driven by Paul Stein at the intersection of Mason and Geary Street in San Francisco.
Presidio Heights, San Fran.
Now, this was also okay. This is evening. I thought it would be daytime, but this is evening. So you're a cab driver. He gets in. Then the passenger shoots Stein once in the head with a 9mm. Took Stein's wallet and car keys. So there's theft involved here, which was not his MOs before.
Yeah. See, now, which leads me to my earlier thing that maybe it's more than one.
That has been floated out
Maybe
there.
the copycat. And no, I'm just throwing it out there because the MO was different than. I mean, okay, he shot him, but he took the car keys and the wallet.
Well, and one more thing. Tore a section of blood-stained shirt from Stein, and this becomes pivotal later because he ends up mailing this piece of evidence back to the police, kind of proof of evidence. I'm calling it in as me. This is me. This is, I mean, short of cutting a finger off the victim, this is, he's getting more brazen. He's getting more bold.
He actually had people who saw him. The pastor was
Yes.
observed by 3 teenagers who saw him, and they called the police where the crime was in progress. They observed him wiping the cab down.
Again,
before
smart.
walking towards the Presidio 1 block to the north.
But what's
2 blocks from the crime scene, the cops show up, respond to the call, observe the white man walking on the sidewalk east on Jackson.
And here's what gets screwed up.
Stepping on a stairway leading up to the front yard of one of the homes on the north side of the street, the encounter lasted only 5 to 10 seconds. Now,
but unfortunately, the call was screwed up, and you can't trace exactly who screwed up, whether it's dispatcher or people who called it in or whatever, but they reported to be a blackmail. And so it was reported that 2 police who were within the vicinity get the call, they drive around, and they saw a white male that fit the description, but they said they're looking for a black male, so they passed him by. They literally passed the Zodiac Killer by because of a mistake. Somebody said black male instead of a white male.
All right, well, I mean, hey, then let me ask the musical question. Was it a mistake?
Exactly. Well, you floated out that possibility of its multiple, and I think that is possible. And I'm floating out this possibility. I'm going to take flack, people, but that's Raka. Why not? He's a cop. He's smart. He knows what the evidence is. He can send in the stuff. He can misdirection. He knows where they are one step ahead. He can place a description mistake.
You know what? I mean, at this point, it could be anything, but that's not.
Who
That's
better
not
to be the
beyond the realm
inside
of-
job?
It's not that's not crazy.
That's always been my thing. Every time I've studied and I've read it, I'm like, what if he's just a cop? How you gonna catch him if he's on your side?
But that, see, and
He knows the inner workings
there's
of the phone
always something
calls.
to happen.
He knows
Here
who to
they
call, when to call.
supposedly had the motherfucker, and they had
They had him, but
to-
because of a mistaken communication of who the suspect is and some mix-up, the cops who remain, unfortunately, we're not going to say their names, but they said that they passed through the area to the crime scene and they passed a white male that fit the description to the T. But they did not think of stopping him because he was not the described suspect. How about them apples?
Now, do you think it has anything to do with the fact that after that, there's been no other confirmed cases, confirmed victims after that? He got scared and just stopped, or
Or he moved on.
Yeah.
And
Damn,
perhaps
too
the
close.
Zodiac Killer moved on. There's been some suspects that have been pointed out to have suffered head trauma or some kind of medical trauma, and the Zodiac Killer himself may have died. Suspects that they thought were strong suspects and they died, or they got medically debilitated at the same time, and so coincidentally, the killing stopped. He could have moved to another country. He could be continuing today, but smarter, and maybe had enough of the game and just wanted to do it. He could have died, and none of us know. I mean, again, what makes this is just the bizarre of bizarre is never been caught, taunted you, a code that was only cracked 40 years later.
Yeah, which now looking when a lady came forward and said that she had been abducted by the Zodiac Killer, Kathleen Johns. She claimed to have been abducted by the Zodiac Killer, and she picked out Lawrence Kane in the photo lineup. Now,
Yes.
One of the cops who, missed the Zodiac Killer because they were looking for, black gentleman, said that Kane closely resembled the man that him and his partner encountered. He worked at the same Nevada hotel as possible Zodiac victim Donna Lass. Okay?
Yes.
Kane was also diagnosed with impulse control disorder after suffering brain injuries in a 1962 accident. He was also arrested for voyeurism and prowling. Now, coincidence? Probably. But, man.
Let's not glaze over one of the letters that he not only threatened to kill children, but he sketched a bomb. You're talking to an individual who's now raising the bar to, you know what, I'm upset, I'm pissed, or I'm not getting my way, or if you're not going to publish this letter, now I'm going to kill kids, and I'm going to even sketch out for you a rudimentary bomb. You tell me know if this is going to explode or not. I mean, I do not envy the police force or all law enforcement during this time. You got nothing.
The 340 symbol cipher, which, mind you, was solved 50 years later in December of last year.
Because of computers. Okay.
I hope you are having lots of fun trying to catch me. That wasn't me on the TV show, which brings up a point about me. I am not afraid of the gas chamber because it will send me to paradise all the sooner. Because I now have enough slaves to work for me, where everyone else is nothing when they reach paradise. So they are afraid of death. I am not afraid because I know that my new life will be an easy one in paradise, death. Now, he purposely misspells paradise.
Twice.
Actually, 3 times. But
and the grammar is a little off.
Well, yeah, obviously. But that can be also how when they decipher it or whatever. It's dude.
I would make one suggestion to the
51 years, bro. 51 years.
That's what I'm saying. If he's that clever that you needed the advent of computer software to solve his crimes, which talk about procrastination, I would advise the deciphering team to go back to the ciphers. I bet you his name is in there. I bet you he's that brilliant, he double layered a code. Or in the actual writing just said like there's something with the misspelling. Maybe it's on purpose, and maybe his last name is Paradise. Maybe there's something in there. He's telling you the name.
You're trying to figure out the.
I'm telling you, because I think he's too clever to make mistakes like that. I think these mistakes are on purpose, and I'm asking the crime scene experts out there, reinsert into the computer, somehow finagle and tweak it so that you can see if there's a double layer code or something with those misspellings. I bet you his name is there. I think he's too clever to come up with this whole thing to misspell. Makes no sense. I'm telling you, it's still in there. That's why I think the killer is there. He's so bold. He's going to tell you his name and he's dead already. That he still wins. I get it. But just to know who the killer was, I bet you his name is still there.
Probably. But
another 50 years.
A lot of things don't make sense, and a lot of things there's another letter. So supposedly the Zodiac also mailed a 7-page letter stating that the 2 policemen had stopped and actually spoke with him 3 minutes after he shot Stein. Okay. Now, was it really the Zodiac?
No, I'm with you. Who's to say this wasn't like the early beginnings of a fight club and just that they just believe in hunting
It's almost
humans?
like now to the point that everyone is like, oh yeah, you saw me and I did this, whatever. So now the fact that it could be anyone freaking just taking up the mantle. Because if you assume, all right, I'm not good at math here, but if the guy must have been at least in his mid-20s, okay? Add 51 years to that. He's got to be in his mid-70s.
Okay. I mean, look, his
If it is
last letter,
all this.
he still continued, after the killing stopped, he still continued to mock the
Yeah.
police department for years. Last letter sent out nearly 3 years later, Sensitive Chronicle, postmarked January 29th, 1974, praising The Exorcist as the best satirical comedy that I've ever seen. And the letter included a snippet of verse from the Mikado and an unusual symbol at the bottom that still remains unexplained by researchers today. He concluded the letter with a new score: me equals 37, SFPD 0. Dude is keeping score and throwing it in your face.
Dude, he wrote a letter in April 20th, 1970, February 18th, April 28th, 1970, June
4 years prior.
26th, 1970. We can go on, go on, go on, go on, and on and on. And yeah, like you said, the bomb letter, July 24th, 1970, July 26th, 1970. Paraphrasing a song, adding little lyrics about making a little list of the ways he planned to torture his slaves in paradise. Again, spelling it wrong.
Yeah.
That it was signed with a large exaggerated cross circle symbol and the new score, like you said, 13-0. P.S. The Mount Diablo code concerns radians plus #inches along the radians.
So, to sum up everything here,
October 7th, 1970. It's just...
we have a killer who has similarities to other killers, but all his own MO for this short period of time. We do have the Riverside Killer. We have a few other hitchhiker killers. We have a million serial killers, but unique to this individual or entity, we'll leave it at that because it could be a group of individuals. The killings were brutal, quick, concise, stabs or shots, phone calls alerting the police, letters alerting the police claiming ownership, the same encrypted, the same handwriting, continuity through all of that, mocking the police, mocking the people. We're just prey, claiming 37 victims, and then abruptly silence. And no capture, no arrest, leads that go dead. We're sorry for the victims, but holy cow, the Zodiac remains.
He or they died somewhere on the lines.
Had to have been because at this point,
a person who was this in tune and so wanting the spotlight, wanting to be, and part of the the cat and mouse chase, wouldn't just abruptly just stop.
No.
Even if they did stop killing, you could taunt forever. Hell, You could be freaking 90 years old and keep taunting as long as you could, type away.
If I can play screenplay and God at the same time, I'm hoping that some innocent random victim was able to somehow turn the tables and kill him and live to tell, and maybe is scarred, doesn't know who this person is, doesn't know it's the Zodiac Killer. But I'm hoping that's in my um, hope for justice and equilibrium. I hope that's what happens. Just the same if he died of natural causes or a street accident.
I hope he died if he can
Um,
some nondescript death that no one knows about. I mean, not for obviously you want closure, but because he didn't deserve any more notoriety
I mean,
anymore.
unfortunately, you're talking about exactly 37-0, and no closure for the victims, no closure for the San Francisco Police Department,
Yeah.
and a mar on justice system.
I mean, we can go on and name the other people who could have been, but there's from Ted Kaczynski to Bruce Davis was a member of Man Manson's cult. Go on, a former lawyer in '09. You could go on and on and on and on of people who but I think more and more I think that it was not the work of one person, it was the work of more than one person.
Some kind of very disciplined cult.
Yeah. And or some on the lines maybe the copycats, and I think he died unceremoniously and that was it. And we're never gonna know. It took him
only
50
hope
years
so.
to decipher, this, and we're no closer to getting any answers.
I mean, you talk about a lot of geniuses that have brazed the pages in the last 50 years, and only now, really because of the computer ingenuity and were they were able to crack the code. All right, for all of our listeners out there, this is the presentation of the Zodiac Killer, the one of many unsolved, crazy true crime cases in recent memory and still unresolved.
We would like to hear what you guys and gals think of the Zodiac Killer and our theories. And do you think it was, he's still around? Do you think that it was more than one person, or like someone actually? There's a investigator slash teacher, professor out there who actually thought it was a myth, that it was all bullshit, that the Zodiac was just a cleverly conceived, thing of coincidences, that they were not connected at all.
Yeah, I think that's crazy. Once you demonstrate that the cipher has been deciphered, and a real statement comes out on multiple levels 50 years later. I mean, there is some higher level sick, depraved genius working here that's misguided and proves every bit of his brains. Never captured. Not even close to arrest.
No, nothing. Nowhere close.
Unreal, folks. We hope that you've enjoyed our segment on the Zodiac Killer. Again, thank you for liking and subscribing. Hit that button. Keep us going, and we keep you going. This has been pretty fun and interesting to dive into. Very fascinated and just mouth agape awed. For Deader Dudes, I am Raka.
I'm Izzy. Stay tuned for more true crime, more serial killers, more cults, more, crazy stuff like that. And as always, take care, stay safe, and save the
Save
world.
those whales.
Take care.